the airport lost your luggage 3 times this year? I think the universe is telling you to let go of your emotional baggage too. Something to think about. You sprained your ankle. I think that's the universe trying to tell you to slow down.
Let's talk about this. I'm Ceres, and this channel is all about adding sovereignty to your life and some of the spiritual practices you already have. My intention here is to support you creating sovereign relationships and true prosperity, not just success. I believe that there are so many gaps with sovereignty in common spiritual behaviors and practices, and what I have to share today may challenge your current perspective, but remember, it is your sovereignty to take what you want and leave the rest behind. And also trust that if you were led to this video, there is probably something important for you to consider. Now, I have no idea what Jay's perspective on this is. I am only speaking from my perspective. This is obviously a very common way to communicate with friends in spiritual communities, which I've been a part of for many years. And as you can see from the comments, people relate. But the hard truth is that it lacks sovereignty. Now I'm gonna run through 6 ways to support you accessing more love, power, and prosperity. I don't hear anyone talking about this, and I wanna start talking about these things so much. That's why I just launched my channel. So number 1, stay in your own lane. If you wanna clean up your energy, don't create meaning about someone else's life. When you stay in your own lane, you connect more deeply to your own power. Constantly assigning meaning to why things are happening in other people's lives deflects attention from your own life. It's an invulnerable response. So to step into someone else's lane impacts them, and it impacts you. It creates energy leaks for both of you. So clean it up, focus on the meaning that you give to your own life. There is likely a very codependent part that wants to feel like you're helping. But honestly, this part is getting in the way of your ultimate vision in life. And it's sneaky, right? Sneaky motivations. It sounds like it's just being nice. And the muscle that a lot of spiritual people need to work is trusting others to walk their path. That is sovereignty, trusting others. Only they can create meaning of why things are happening. That is their sovereignty. So stay in your lane and focus on your path and the meaning that you're giving it. And number 2, don't jump to conclusions. So many times I hear people creating meaning so quickly, it feels like mental reaction or even a superficial conclusion. And when I check in with my body and remember all the times that people did this to me, what stands out to me is that it doesn't feel like these people are embodied. Now, you can take it or leave it. Maybe it applies to you, maybe it doesn't. This is just what my body is somatically remembering and what stands out to me from the experience. There are also 2 archetypes that stand out to me that do this the most, but I'm gonna have to make another video for that, so maybe you have to subscribe. So when you're creating meaning for yourself, take time to build intimacy with yourself before jumping to conclusions. So the more that you strengthen this intimacy with self, the more alignment you'll have in your life, and then obviously with the divine. Think of it as kind of sitting in a flower and just letting the flower naturally open. This is sovereignty. Number 3, blame and judgment leaks energy. So blame or punishment, whether directed at yourself, the universe, or others, drains your energy and lowers your frequency. I know this very well. There's a difference between exploring meaning and blaming or creating some sort of punishing scenario. The energy of blame keeps you operating on lower frequencies. If you want prosperity, upgrade your frequencies you operate on. Now, I know this because I've done it, and I can actually see now that very few people in spiritual communities have this. So I'm not talking about being around sound healing or being around frequencies. This is about integrating your low frequencies behavior in way that you interact with yourself and others. If I look at like a transcript from your life of your interactions throughout the day, I can tell you exactly what you need to integrate to access more prosperity in your life and how to have better relationships. But you have to take responsibility of your life. This is sovereignty. and create meaning, but leave the frequency of the punishing scenarios, the blame, the judgment behind. Think of that flower again. Just spaciousness, being with what is. Number 4, not everything's a lesson for you. Now, early this year, I lost my apartment keys, and I never lose my keys. I keep them in the exact same place every time. Don't drink alcohol. Felt really grounded, really in flow that day. So there's something that felt really like odd to me about it, and I ended up finding a way to break into my apartment through my balcony. I had to climb over my neighbor's balcony, sneak into my neighbor's, break into my neighbor's patio, climb over the balcony into my own. And I just kind of, once I got in my apartment, I just kind of felt like letting it all go, and I contacted my cleaning lady, and she said she could get me a spare in the next couple days. So I told my friend about it, and she started to get some visions of where they could be, and she started leading me on this quest to find them, giving me clues to what she was getting, and it was just a really fun experience. And it wasn't about a lesson, I think, for me. I think it was about creating the scenario to help her train for some potential opportunity, which I'm not going to get into. But then I was even getting visions of the potentiality of the outcomes. Now, I would have never guessed immediately after losing my keys that this was connected to that. And I certainly didn't blame myself. I stayed open, and I also didn't jump to conclusions. Number 5, don't oversimplify life's events. So when something happens, it's not always about a singular reason. And it's like the life events often have a complex web of meaning that I think our tiny brains just really can't even comprehend, right? When I lost my keys, it helped my friend practice her skills, and I also got some exercise from moving around and jumping over balconies for a couple days, which was actually really important for me at that time. And I was also practicing just making peace with a setback really quickly, which I think was also helpful for me at this time in my life. So events can have multiple layers of meaning of the divine alignment that are not immediately obvious. I asked my spirit guides recently about something that happened like 5 months ago, and I was like, this is what that was, right? And they're like, no, it's actually not what it was, but we understand that that's the meaning that you gave it at the time. You kind of had a clouded perspective of what was happening. So it's also kind of good just to create some looseness and some grace with meaning or conclusions that we're coming up with. Number 6, this is my favorite, really important one. Meet them with vulnerability. So invulnerable responses are like the norm in spiritual communities. So saying, this is your lesson, or this is what's happening to you because you didn't do this or you haven't done this, when someone shares a hardship, is very invulnerable. It's distancing, and it has a flavor of teaching and even superiority. So rather than just being vulnerable and present with their human experience, it lacks compassion and empathy. And I'm just like, I'm so sad about this, you guys. My whole approach is what I stand for is about allowing ourselves to be deeply human. This can't happen if there's no space for vulnerability, even between friends. And in spiritual communities, there's a huge lack of space just to be witnessed, and for compassion, and for space for curiosity. Invulnerability squeezes out the opportunity to be with one another. And my heart breaks because I just know so many souls are craving just to be seen and to have this deeper connection. And honestly, that's where the magic happens. When two humans can just come together and be deeply human together, that is when the magic truly, and it seems like a contradiction to what a lot of spiritual people believe, but that is how you integrate and evolve and manifest the fastest. What's also important to know, and I will say this again and again, is everyone has their ability to find their own answers and meaning. So honestly, when you learn how to do these things, you access more of your sovereignty, and that is the foundation of true prosperity, not just manufactured success, which is often demonstrated in personal growth world by archetypes that are just operating within their own ego strategies and not actually demonstrating evolution. And yes, I will be making another video about that, so subscribe. But all these things also support just like the basis of having sovereign relationships, learning how to connect more deeply to your friends. So just to recap, stay in your own lane. Don't jump to conclusions. Blame and judgment leaks energy. Not everything's a lesson for you. Don't oversimplify life's events. Meet them with vulnerability. If you start to work these muscles of sovereignty, you will begin to create a stronger foundation and energy flow. And I say start to work because it's not like you're not going to make immediate changes right away of all these things, but just start to work these muscles. Because you can do all the mantras and all the mindset and be around all the frequencies. And if you're not applying what I mentioned in this video, you won't get your footing. You'll still be operating in your own lower frequencies. You need to have a framework of sovereignty in your life if you want a true prosperity. I talk in great detail about this in my upcoming book about sovereignty, so sign up to be the first to know when it's released. I promise that there's nothing else like it out there that exists. I have a sacred contract to bring this to humanity. And if you want to get more clarity on how you are leaking energy in your life, grab my free energy leak assessment PDF. It's quick and easy to fill out, and it'll give you a little more clarity. And if you want even more clarity in movement, like I said, there's a lot that I can get just by interacting with you. I can reflect these things back and show you how to access more of your unique gifts and your sovereignty. This channel will not be like other personal growth channels. My intention is to create content that does not exist and is from my soul, and all of it is rooted in sovereignty. And please know that you can trust that I'm always here to love, accept, and embrace your humanness. Like and subscribe. Tell me which one of these that you are going to bring more attention to in your life, because it'd be kind of overwhelming to focus on all of them, but maybe just choose one to bring your attention to. I will see you next time.